Welcome to this episode of The Build Up, presented by the Florida Home Builders Association, serving up fresh perspectives on politics, building, and beyond.
Welcome to The Build Up. I'm Ryan Benson, owner of Avon and Allen Builder in Naples. Along with me, my amazing co-host, John Riddle from Turning Leaf Custom Homes. We have an awesome guest today, Senator Tracie Davis. It's her first podcast, so she's somewhat nervous, but we thought a good way to make everyone comfortable, since it's 6 o'clock that we're filming this, was to have a drink of her choice.
Okay.
So what are we drinking first?
We are drinking what is called a Cape Cod.
Okay.
And this is vodka, cranberry juice with a twist of lime. So it's called a Cape Cod.
Lovely.
Cheers.
Lovely.
Cheers.
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 Thank you. So
This is starting off really great, by the way.
You're like, I'm going to do podcasts all the time. Why don't I do a podcast every day?
This is really good.
So I'll run through a bit of your background, but then I want to hear it from you. You started off as a teacher and educator for special needs, was it? Or okay. Was that right coming out of college? And that, how long did you do that for?
I was a special education teacher for 7 years with Duval County Public School System.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then from there went to the supervisor of elections office?
I did.
And how long were you there?
I was there for, I'm so young. I was there for 14 years.
And ended up as deputy supervisor.
I ended up as deputy supervisor, and during that time, I actually ran for supervisor election.
You did?
I did.
Was that your first endeavor into politics?
That was my first race. Yes, it was.
Okay. And how was it?
That's not the title I wear. That's not the title I've ever worn. So I didn't win that race, but I didn't win the title. But I think what I walked away with winning was, before I ran that race, probably the only people that knew me in Duval County were the people that came in the elections office to do stuff, or, knew me around education. And then after I ran that race, I realized like 45% of Duval County knew who I was. So that was the win for me, because that was what I.
And then you had name ID.
Exactly.
And that's a huge deal.
Exactly. So I think I won too.
Yeah. That's awesome. And how did you parlay that into your first step in the House?
So we had an elected in Duval County that had some challenges. And so I had some friends to come to me maybe a year or so after the election with the supervisor, as a supervisor's race, and said, hey, you ran this countywide race. Would you feel comfortable running for state rep? And so my first question was really, what is that and what do they do? I don't think anyone knows what state representatives or state senators do. And so I asked the same question. But that was my second run, as they say, in this realm of political office. And that race was a lot going on, but I won that race.
So besides them asking you to do it, was there an inspiration, something you thought of that this is something I'd really like to do?
Initially, yes and no. And the reason I say yes is because the ask was, I had just ran a race and I was running for public office. And I was like, this would be something interesting to do. But my heart was always set on supervisor elections. So that was the no part of it, because I was like, no, the only reason I ran was because I wanted to do something I was completely comfortable with doing. I had literally been in the supervisor elections office for 14 years. The people in the office and myself could run the office with our eyes closed. It was just something that I knew how to do all the time. Thinking of running for office and it not be supervisor elections was something that literally was scary to me. But eventually, for ladies, and some of your female audience will, think about this too, we have to go through an assessment period. We have to ask ourselves whether this is something we want to do. We have to ask if we're married. We have to ask our spouses.
Yeah.
We have to think about our children. So it's a lot that goes on for a woman to decide, hey, I'm going to run for office. And unfortunately, guys, it's not like that for you. Or fortunately, it's not like that for you. I have a lot of male colleagues, and, they were like, hey, I woke up on Tuesday morning and decided to run for office. And they do. And it's just, women just think about everything but themselves last. Everything else is first. So
Do you have kids?
I do. I have My husband and I have 3 adult children. We don't
Okay.
have any children together, but we have 3 adult children.
But when you were making the decision to run for this office, like, how did that play into, you know, I mean, it's a
Everything.
huge commitment. You know, I know on a minor scale, Tallahassee's not a convenient place to get to, and the demand is far more than a
Right.
part-time job, even though it's only compensated as a part-time job.
Right.
So how did that play into it?
So by the time I decided to take this opportunity and run as state rep, my daughter was an adult.
Okay.
She was off on her own, and that had a lot to do with it. So I didn't have to worry about little people, having little kids, small kids. And so that was something absent from my thought process. But even as having an adult child, how would this affect her? You know, sitting talking with my husband, how would this affect him? How involved did he want to be in this world? And he's really not. He drives me anywhere I want to go. He partners with me and goes anywhere, but he is so much in the shadows, you all probably won't even realize Mr. Davis is in the room. But it is a challenge. But, you know, I never thought of Tallahassee as being far away. That is a drive I absolutely love to take, and most people do not. That drive relaxes me. I am not on the phone. I don't take calls during that drive. But you
You
know,
have the straight shot from I-10
we're
also,
we're
right?
2
Like,
and a
you're
half
like,
hours
yeah,
away,
that's
and where I have colleagues coming out of Broward and Miami, you know, they do everything and then some. But, you know, once I was elected and realized what an adventure it was, and that's what it became for me. But realizing my path in teaching and then the supervisor of elections office, you know, you never know where God takes you on the journey until you get someplace and you realize, okay, I went through that for a reason. So my teaching enabled me to be this senator that I am now because I realized some things I learned with the education process. I'm still doing it now, right? I then went to the supervisor elections office where I tried really hard and I got to that point where people didn't realize or they didn't look at me as Tracie, you know, the Democrat who runs my elections. They just looked at me as Tracie, the person who runs my elections. So it was really easy for me to go into the House as a state representative because as a teacher, we know all of our students' names within 3 minutes. So I was able to talk to my colleagues and say, hello, how you doing? And call them by their first name, which caught them off guard. And then with the supervisor of elections, it helped me with relationships. It helped me with not to just surround myself with the Democrats in the House, but
Sure.
to know how to go across the aisle and make friends and get legislation passed. And that's what I did.
Yeah. What was a surprising moment from you when, as your first time in office as a representative? Was there something that stood out after your first session or that really caught you by surprise?
The House of Representatives is less of a bipartisan place now than it was. What was surprising to me when I think I arrived, everything was new, right? I had never been in elected office before. So everything was completely new. And what surprised me is the fact that people weren't they were surprised when you became welcoming. They were surprised to know that you know their name. They were surprised to know that you were reaching out to be friendly and to be a friend. And so that was something we had to get to. But I also had a speaker, and our speaker at the time was Richard Corcoran. He's now gone on to do bigger and better things. But he did things to make us laugh with each other and as well as laugh at each other. And so he would do these little videos, and you could go into the video room, and do the video if you like. It was optional. And so I remember my Jacksonville colleagues are going to kill me. I remember doing the video. And so the question was, well, who is the Republican representative that you like? Of all the Republicans, who is the representative? And you guys can tell it's hard. I'm really shy. And so I said, you know, I don't like any of them. And so I was like, no. I'm joking. That's just a joke, right? You're gonna take that out, right? You're gonna take that out. And the videographer was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Probably within a week's time, the Speaker of the House, Richard Corcoran, is passing me in the hallway, and he just looks at me and stops. He's like, you're funny.
That's great.
You're really funny. And
That's
so
great.
I immediately think of them like, they were supposed to take that out. They lied to me. And so when they showed the video, we're all in the chamber, 120 of us. They showed this video. I say that. my colleagues, my Republican colleagues, at least 3 of them call my name as being the Democrat that they like the most.
Oh.
And so when they hear me say what I said, it became a big bantering. And so we had the ability to kind of laugh at each other and laugh with each other. And that broke a lot of the walls down that you unfortunately see now.
Yeah. How was this most recent legislative session different? Yeah, time for a drink for
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Well, I
So-
told the senator there was an easy session this time. Nothing
That's
happened.
right.
Nothing went too long.
Th- How was this past session different than sessions before from the Senate side? So I think we got a good glimpse of the way the House side went, but I know there's a lot of negotiations between that. But how was it different from the Senate side?
On the Senate side, we do have a collegial body. Look at Florida Channel, and they will see us kind of bantering back and forth with various bills. On the Senate side, we do have the ability to sit down with our colleagues that are in the majority, that are in charge. We have an open door policy with our Senate president that if we have any type of issue, we can go to him and talk about it, whether it's legislatively, whether it's personal, whether it's whatever it is. He is just that person. I've had 2 Senate presidents, and the first one was Senator Kathleen Pasadomo, and now Senator Ben Albritton, and both of them open door policy. I hold Senator Pasadomo at the highest regard because I was working on a passion project for me, and it is medical marijuana. A lot of people around Jacksonville know me as the medical marijuana lady, but it was making sure that the state had given the opportunity for our Pickford Black farmers to have a medical marijuana license. And law states that they get 1 license. And so the situation, long story short, had been in the courts for about 6.5 years before I got pulled into it. And I had a sorority sister, her grandmother was one of the Pickfords. And so she was like, hey, we have this legislation. We can't get anything done. Can you help us with that? I had no idea what I was walking into. And I've been involved since. But long story short, Senator Pasadomo and her leadership time made sure that we were able to get a bill passed on the Senate floor as well as the House floor to the governor's office that gave a 90-day cure period for these folks to cure their application, to resubmit it and try to be approved
no.
for a medical marijuana license. We, like I said, law states, they got 1 license. We actually ended up with 3 licenses from that, and we were able to go back in later on. But she opened the door, and I know she held tight for that. And so you had a wrong that had been done of many years made right under her leadership.
Did
And
it
so-
end up getting issued, that license?
Yes,
Oh,
we
that's awesome.
ended up getting 3.
Oh,
we
wow.
ended up
Great.
receiving 3 medical marijuana licenses for 3 of those Pickfords. And then the next session's Speaker Renner, as well as Senator Pasadomo, again, we were able to issue 3 more. We had 2, my person, when we started, she was 100. She was 100 years old, and the grandmother. And so when we actually was able to get her license issued, because in the first round she wasn't able to satisfy some of the deficiencies. And so her and the next youngest gentleman was 92. So we went back in and we were able to get the 2 of them licenses, as well as a gentleman who had passed away. And the department was kind of looking at law and following the law as it was. And those 3 people would never have been able to cure. And so under their leadership, we were able to get 3 more. So we actually walked away with 6 medical marijuana, they call it MMTC centers, medical marijuana licenses being issued to the Pickfords.
Nice.
So what about this session? I know we tease and we were joking about it and laughing about it. We think it's over, right? I think it's all done, right? Yeah.
We think so. After 105 days,
Yeah.
we hope so.
Don't worry, you get
So-
2 weeks off before we
Yeah.
start committee. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't
2
worry.
weeks? I think it's 3 days.
So what are your reflection back on this session? Anything that comes out top of mind, legislation that you pushed through or try to push through?
This session was long, like I said, in a mandatory session of 60 days by law. We did go for an exact 105 days was a session. And it played out in media and in front of everyone. The longest session that I've been a part of, because by law it stops at 60 days. And so you asked me what the differences was, and that should have started there. But what stuck out for me particularly was Jacksonville, where my area where I came from, my delegation and I were able to have some significant wins in the budget that we were able to do. We scored $4.5 million for our local Baptist Medical Center. We scored $3.2 million for our Jacksonville Fair grounds to be relocated from one location in the city to another. So I had some really big wins, but we also had some small wins. So really was proud of what we were able to get in the budget. And I think if I'm looking at the session, the extended time tired everyone out. If I can just say that, everyone was just tired. So we walked away 60 days. And so my caucus was like, hey, we won, because there was some legislation that we had really thought we put to bed and we weren't going to see it again. And so we, in those extra 40 days, the Senate was tired. And we gave in to some education things that, I think personally, my caucus and I think that we shouldn't have given in, like giving, $6 million to the Hope scholarships. And that's the voucher program that had gone away. And I'm in the middle of that. We just want accountability and transparency. And so when you give $6 million to a program and they don't have that, you're going to be questioned about it. And so personally, I had some healthcare things that I was working on.
Let's talk about those.
Yeah.
Personally, I had some healthcare.
1578.
Yeah.
Okay. The
That's
mammogram
one I'm
coverage.
interested. Yeah.
The
Great.
mammogram coverage. So thank you for reminding me of
Yeah,
that.
that's
The mammogram coverage was particularly special to my colleague and I. Diane Hart out of Tampa was carrying that bill in the House. And in the Senate, and this is where the differences come through. In the Senate, I was able to, talk to chairs of committee, and they agended the bill. We actually got that bill all the way to the floor. And in the House, it had no movement whatsoever. And so and there was no cost to the state for this bill. It was something that Medicaid was going to pay for anyway. So I just never understood why we got no movement for it in the House. But we had, and this is what listening to our experts say. You know how you builders and contractors come to us. I say you are our experts when it comes to attainability. I like
That's
that
right.
word throughout Florida when it comes to housing.
Senator Pasadomo is the one who told me to start using attainable.
like it.
So I switched over.
There's that Senator Pasadomo again.
Yep.
So I like that word. But, when I look at, I'm sitting here with, builders, contractors, and you guys are our experts. So when you talk about talking to the experts, I wanted to make sure that mammogram coverage bill was spot on for the experts. And so I had some radiologists come to me and say, hey, can we do a little something with the language? Can we change it here? Can we make a notation here and make some changes to it? And so I agreed to it. And so again, like I said, we got it all the way to the floor and Senate floor. And I put it to rest. I do what people say, and your audience may not know, so I'm going to educate you. I do what we say. I killed my own bill because I wanted to take the time to allow the radiologists the opportunity to assess the bill and help me make it be the best bill it can be. And so we're bringing it back. We're bringing it back. And the radiologists supported it as we were going through the committees, but I wanted them to have more of a say. And so we're working on it now, and we're going to bring it back and refile it, and you'll see it again.
It's an interesting concept because, we go up to Tallahassee as the Builders Association, a large group of people come, and we're so focused that these are the priorities we have to get through this year.
Right.
And what you're telling me is interesting and good for our listeners and our builder members. Maybe it's not the right time for some of our priorities. And
Maybe it's not perfect.
Maybe it's not
right?
perfect.
Like it could be better. And if
Right.
that's your shot to do it,
Right.
then to rest, lay it on the table, and then go back,
go back.
revisit it, and come back with something better, because you might not have the shot the next time around to fix it.
Correct. And
That's awesome.
both of those are true. Maybe it could be better. Maybe it's not our time.
Yep.
Both of those are true, because I think if it's a product that's still good for your community, your building community, and your constituents and who you're building for, it is still worth going for.
Sure.
So that's the answer. It may not be perfect,
Sure.
but it's still worth going for.
Yep.
Let's get it while we have it. But if we have the opportunity to go back and make it better, and all parties are willing to do that, then do that. Do that. So both are true. Both are true.
What other legislation that's out there or not out there, but I'm looking at like other things that didn't go through this past session or new initiatives that you want to bring forward? And I say that with the understanding of the current dynamic and a better understanding than when we started session this
Right.
past time around, going into this next session and realizing the Senate, House, and executive office and the different way they're
Dynamic.
operating. That
Yeah.
yes, what else is out there that you would now approach this next session?
I'm glad you asked that. So, like I said, we all saw how the House and the Senate and the governor kind of had their issues. I'll say challenges. That's a good
Sure.
word,
They
right?
had challenges? I knew
Just a
about
little,
that.
just a little bit. You didn't see it. Just
Points
a
of
little bit.
difference.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
wasn't challenges. It was points of difference. Yeah.
Only
And
shown on the
that's
Florida
why
channel, by the way.
we're there for 105 days. But the things that I will work on, I literally just reached out to the Speaker of the House, who is a great guy. We served together in the House, and so he responded. I said, "Hey, I had some things that the Senate held tight on, and so you guys know I'm a big supporter of yours, but I'm not your construction person, even though I have a construction license myself. I'm a GC, by the way.
Are
I
you?
don't think you guys
I
know
did
that.
not know that.
I don't,
Our
but I don't practice
research
it.
was flawed,
Right,
John.
I
no.
think we need a new
We-
research team.
Yeah, our research team, we're going to address that with them.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm a collector, just a little snippet. I'm a
Okay.
collector of licenses.
Sure.
Okay.
So I
What's your license?
I have a GC license.
Good for
I
you.
have a home inspector license.
Okay.
And so you always got to have a plan B, right, guys?
That's right.
Yeah.
Great
So
plan B.
great plan B. So I had a sales agent license, and I thought
Yeah.
that's the one I let go, and that's the one I want to get back. But yeah, so I collect licenses, and it's always, planning for the next step. I'm not going to
Yeah.
be in this seat forever.
Yeah.
You got to be planning for the next.
Yeah.
But going back to the question, I reached out to Representative Perez, Speaker of the House, just this week. And I said, hey, we were holding on to that support coordinator language. And so I'm really into healthcare. I do a lot of things when you talk about children being exploited and sexual assault, things like that. I did some things for this session. I got a bill across the finish line for the psychologists because they were wanting to be treated like other entities where the insurance company could only claw back 12 months instead of 30. Some kind of way they got left out of that. But we were able to be successful. Governor signed that bill. And so I have that to be happy about. But I had some language. We did get some child abuse prevention language in the
Yep.
budget. And what we call that is proviso. And it's a bill, not necessarily a bill that goes through committees, but it's language that both sides have agreed to, House and Senate, and say, hey, we can put this in the back of the bill, proviso language, and we're going to do this. And so it's just some child abuse prevention language that we want some regular reporting to be done to make sure that the dollars and cents the state is spending in this area, that we're getting data from it. And so that's one. And then with support coordinators, we have a huge wait list with our I-waiver budget with people with special needs. We have about over 20,000 people on a wait list. And so the I-budget waiver is a term we use for people to be pulled off of that wait list so they can be provided the services they need as someone that has special needs. And so the challenge is the state has came up with really great programs. We have programs for developmentally delayed folks. We have programs for people with special needs. We have programs for people with autism now just by themselves. And we're spending a ton of money on these programs. The challenge is when you're dealing with the I-budget waiver is you need people to provide the services that they need. So if you need people that have trachs and they need the trach removed, you have to have nurses and home healthcare agency people going into the homes to help with that, right? And so we are spending all of this money, but we're not putting any money toward supporting, retaining, and recruiting the people you need to provide the services. So I had some language there. The Senate held tight to it. We had a pot of $50 million to help agencies with recruiting and retaining people that provide these services for our special need community. And so I got to get with Rep. Perez to see
Yeah.
why he wouldn't accept it. And so I felt like, meeting him at home, going to Miami, and us getting
traveled down
together.
there.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Just kind of seeing what his idea was about it and, why the House would not accept the language. And so just want to have a conversation so he can understand my view and I can understand his. And that's how a lot of things I think get passed the next time. When it's not perfect, I don't know why he, wouldn't agree to it. But instead of getting mad and being upset about it, my thought is, let's sit down and talk. We served together. I know who you are. You know who I am. Let's talk about it. We still
Yeah.
may not agree,
Yeah.
but I've given it the opportunity to go and meet and talk with him and hear, what his
I have to tell you,
his
it's
take
so
was.
refreshing based on everything we read on the news or see on TV now. And it's nice to hear that
We work
you do
together.
that and the representative is willing to do that. And it's actually it gives me some renewed confidence that we can move legislation forward.
We can. You have to be willing. And that's what I tell young people. But again, it's that journey. Guys, I was a teacher and then I ran for supervisor elections and I was in the elections office. That journey has taught me what I needed to be successful. And I look back on it all the time. Being a teacher taught me how to deal with, different personalities. It taught me how to approach people and talk to them by their first name. That really catches people off guard. I don't know if you know that, but people love it too at the same time. Those type of, I think, techniques or abilities that I have really opened doors. And I am that person that folks on both sides, I think, will say, yeah, I can work with Tracie Davis.
Oh.
I've heard it before. The incoming speaker, Sam Garrison, tells people that all the time. And it's not until people say, yeah, Sam said we can work with you. And he loves to work with you as
What
well.
a nice compliment, though.
It is.
In politics,
it is great.
that's
Everyone cannot, all people, we can't do that with everyone.
yeah.
But as many people as I can have that type of relationship with in this political realm, that's what I work toward.
Yeah. I just remembered where we had met, because when you came and you said we met, Senator Martin is a great friend of mine and introduced me to you and said how awesome you were. And that was up in Tallahassee this past session.
Our 6'9" friend.
That's right. That's right. That's him.
So Senator Martin, Jonathan is a great example, guys, of never liking. Jonathan has bills that I almost never like, to be honest. We will never agree.
He does skate on the edge of yes, yeah.
But I will say out loud and I tell people I like him.
Yeah.
And so we can like each other.
Yeah.
We don't have to like each other politics, but we can like each other.
That's
we can.
good. So what next after this? I mean, there's only 8 years to get done what you're going to get done. So I know you're climbing, you're head of the minority leader now. That's the top of the Senate in your role. What next? If you're willing to share, what next?
Hey guys, it's not going to be what you're thinking. It's not going to be what your audience is probably thinking.
Because they're all thinking the GC license. So you're going to be a home builder. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So sorry.
That's my plan B.
Yeah, okay, B.
So political office, I would love to really go home and back to Jacksonville and possibly do a run for supervisor elections. That's always been where my heart is. And if that's not a possibility, I am going to be that person that says it right here with Ryan and John that I am okay just going back home.
Oh,
That's
nice.
great.
Yeah.
That's great.
I am good with just going back home.
So my last 2 questions, and then John will finish up. So in your home district, what's your favorite restaurant?
Oh, I have so many of them. Are you really going to do that to me?
I mean, I'm sure they're owned by friends, but I think you have to pick one.
Oh, only one?
Okay.
No, we can have several.
Several, fine.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you the same question for Tallahassee then, by the way, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I like little quaint places. So the district is one. I do Crispies a lot.
What's Crispy's? What?
Crispy's is on Main Street. The district is in the neighborhood. It's on Walnut
What kind of
Street.
food?
The district has a really eclectic jambalaya,
Okay.
eggs Benedict,
Great.
salmon and grits, shrimp and grits, that type of.
Sounds awesome.
It is bottomless mimosas. It's an awesome place.
All right.
Crispy's is more of a pizza salad, but it's such a vibe. It is the former owner. He sold it now, but the former owner just brought in a real vibe. I've held many campaign events there. It's a beautiful open brick area, upstairs and downstairs. Just a vibe. San Marco is another spot where you love all the places. Taverna, I think the new one is Oceana or something like that. That's a place. I love sushi, so I like Blue Orchid. That's over on Riverside.
Okay.
You are making me get into so much.
All right, then we're going to Tallahassee now.
Right.
Where in Tallahassee?
Okay, so I am that person in Tallahassee where when work is done, I like to drive away from the capital. So the places like Savor is nice.
Okay.
I'll go there once in a while, but it's too close. Illusions is where everyone likes to go, so I'll go there once in a while. It's too close. I love places like it's off of, and I've just went like the Edison. I love the Edison. The Monroe is new, brand new, but it's going away. Yeah, I see John shaking his. It's fairly new. It's in the opposite direction. Aluso is one way. The Monroe is the other way.
Cool.
Right? And so that's a new one. And then Bonefish Grill. Way out Thomasville Road, away from everything. It's quiet. It's too far for anyone to know
I like
who I
Bonefish.
am.
I don't count the chains though. In my I mean, they're still chained, right?
It's a chain. It's a chain.
Yeah,
but it just takes me out of all of that.
Yeah.
It is a seafood place that I can't. It's like Connors or something.
Okay.
It's kind of in the new area, out kind of Thomasville area. I just did lunch there, but it's amazing.
All right.
It's really
I'll see if we can do it, and then Candace can add to the bottom of that. She might come out and tell us what it is. Connors.
okay.
There you go.
Yeah,
It's Connors.
I was hoping I would call the next, and I don't know if that's a chain, but it's really good.
All
really
right.
good, really good.
Cool.
All right, so let's finish up. It's been a great conversation. Thank you so much. We have lightning round.
Oh boy.
All right, you ready?
Okay.
All right, do you need a drink? Are you good?
Yeah, let's
All right,
say
These are really tough questions on the lightning round here. Now, so one word that defines your leadership style.
Oh, we're in the lightning round?
We are. You're in it.
You only get one word.
Honest.
Oh, very nice. Perfect. What's something you've read or heard recently that stuck with you?
Wow. I'm doing a lot of reading, just different scriptures and things. So I think the last something was like a scripture, and I'm not overly religious or anything like that, so I'm not going to say John 3:16 and all of that. I'm not quoting it, but it's preparation. God is not going to place anything on you that's harder than you can handle, in a sense. And so I'm just kind of paraphrasing how I just know this time in the season is for me right now.
Nice. Very nice. And finally, how do you recharge after a long day at the Capitol?
How do I recharge? As you can see, you all, I like a good cocktail. I like a good cocktail.
John's is the most full. I'm going to point that out.
I got the longest. I can't reach
that's
mine,
true.
right?
It's
Candace
just-
has it set up,
I
so
kept mine
can't get
conveniently
it.
here. Well, Senator, we so appreciate you coming and doing your first podcast. Was it better than you thought?
First one.
Better? I know it's the best podcast you've ever done.
It is the best podcast I've ever done, but you two make it seamless. This was good.
Thank you.
Guys.
We so appreciate you coming. To our listeners, subscribe. We've got amazing guests all the time. I mean, sometimes not as amazing as Senator Davis,
I paid Ryan to say that.
but
guys.
subscribe, and this is the build up, and cheers. Thank you,
Cheers.
guys.
And that's a wrap on this episode of The Build Up, brought to you by the Florida Home Builders Association. Keep the conversation going, and we'll catch you next time.